Hey folks, welcome. There are already a few folks here. Hey Mudshark, good to have you. And the others, say hello in the chat. Um, and for those who are watching now, and for those who are watching after the fact on Twitch or on YouTube, welcome. My name is John Reed. I am a technical agile coach and trainer. What's a technical agile coach? That means I code. I code with you. We code together. And learn stuff and get better at our craft. And let's see, today, just trying to figure out where I am and what I'm about to do next. We are in a kind of a series, sort of a, I couldn't think of anything else to do, so I thought, let's do some code katas, because if nothing else, that's always fun. I learn stuff. I did have a thought about, like, maybe I should work on something unfamiliar and new. And this would be a perfect forum to, make mistakes and have you correct me. And I was thinking about, in particular, people would like to know how I work with Swift UI. And the answer is I really haven't worked much with Swift UI. So that would probably be a good thing to explore. So I'm playing with that idea right now. Like, if I made a Swift UI simple little app and I were to do it the way I want it, what would that look like? I don't know. Got any good little app ideas? I mean, I could always do FizzBuzz with a UI. That's one option. Anyway, playing with ideas, all while tic-tac-toe. Well, that's an interesting idea. Oh, I kind of like that a lot. It's been ages since I've written a tic-tac-toe program. In fact, my first tic-tac-toe program was in BASIC, and it was where I think the computer went first, and so and I had no losing possibility. So it would either tie or win. But that's a pretty neat idea. I like that. I like that a lot. Before we get into our main event, always a plug for Industrial Logic, because that's where I work with some awesome people. Like, I can't believe it. So good. But we have some public events coming up, and I wanted to highlight one for iOS folks in particular. Oddly enough, the one I wanted to highlight was Android. Yeah, there's an iOS thing, but I figure most iOS folks probably aren't that interested in learning iOS from me. It would be more interesting, I think, to learn Android. So if you have any training budget, go check this out. How I got here was services public events. Go check that out. See if you've got training budget. If you're an indie dev, it's probably kind of expensive, but if you work for a company that gives you a budget to learn some stuff, what if you learned Android? And not just Android, you learned it our style, with the good stuff. All right. With that, let us get into the main event, scoring tennis. This is where we started. I went back in time just to give people a refresh of where we are. By the way, For those who are here, there are a few people here. Uh, you're always welcome to ask questions, even if it's completely unrelated to what we're doing. You just want to ask a question. Go for it. So we started with this tennis. This code works, but we had some smells. This is one smell, and I had forgotten the name. I looked it up. It's data clump. It's where you've got like a bunch of properties that really like player one and score one. We found it works better if they hang together. So that's a data clump. And then we've had this long method. Long. And so we did a couple things. One is we solved the data clump problem by extracting a player, the concept of a player. And then we started to break the scoring method down. So it's much shorter now, but it's still not, I'm still looking at these conditionals and there's more work to do. Where will this go? I don't know. What would I like to see? I would like to see micro objects. It would be cool if we had micro objects. If for those of you who are around for FizzBuzz, we ended up with like a fizzer and a buzzer and a fizz buzzer or something like that. Little small objects that knew how to do something very tiny and they worked together. That's what I would like to see. All right. So pull up a chair, pull up your drink, get on your coding hats. Let's see where this goes. And I think I got TCR. I mean, I didn't get it working. I don't know why it wasn't working at all. Let's see if this works. Let's just run tests to make sure. Yeah, like we did for FizzBuzz. I like that. A rule array. That might be good. All right. So tests are passing, but last time I had trouble with TCR. For those of you who don't know what TCR is, it is test and commit or revert. If I change this to something that breaks, it will automatically revert when I run tests. Boop. Now here's the question. If I put in something that still passes, you can see it's changed over here. That's what that color means. And I expect that to go away. Good. Okay. I just had to restart things. All right. So let's set that back. And that'll make life a lot easier, which means we'll get a whole lot more commits and stay out of red at all times. So a rule array. Oh, I like that. Basically have a tie or advantage or win. Still not sure about this. Or, right? Is it doing two things? And I'm also looking at player. Like, it's pretty dumb. Should it know some things? Or should there be a separate concept of score? We don't know. Let's find out. Player 1, player 2, that's better. All right, let's just start and see where this goes. For example, if player name equals player 1 name, then player 1 score, otherwise increment player 1 score, otherwise increment player 2 score. Kind of wish the players would increment themselves. At least I kind of want it to give the point. And avoid, I mean, if I do something crazy like here, you know, obviously it won't pass tests and so it'll revert. But it's still, I don't know, it's a little weird. But maybe that's not the biggest smell. So that's just, it's one thing I spot where I think the responsibility might be misplaced. I especially am concerned with this kind of thing. So I kind of wish I had instead kind of like the rules an array of players, but then we want to limit that to 2. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to move on. We'll come back maybe. If player 1 score equals player 2 score. So this is, I really like the idea of a rule array. Just like we did with FizzBuzz. What if we did that? On the other hand, the counterpoint is that with FizzBuzz, the argument for switching to that was that we wanted to be able to change the rules of FizzBuzz on the fly. The rules of tennis are not going to change. On the other hand, we're playing. This isn't production code. We can explore things and see if we like them. Stop talking, John. Start coding. So what would this be? Like a scoring? It's announcing. It's the announcing rule. Announcement. Let's try it. If I have a set of announcements, announce tie, announce I don't know what to call it. There's probably a better name. Something like that. Where this is an array of that's sort of what I see, although this would be static elsewhere. Yeah, we'll think about that. That's a good idea. All right, so let's see what we get. Let's create a protocol here. So that's done, and we'll create announce tie as a struct. Whoops. And same here. Ah, I'm wrong. Don't go there. Go back down. I want to flip to the file because I assumed that I was putting these in a different file, but I'm not yet. I'm not sure that I want to, or maybe I do. All right, so that should now compile. Good. And now what was it? Announce tie. I mean, essentially I want to go through the rules and give each one a chance. Let's see. If like that. We're going to loop over the rules. And I'm running tests in order to commit the change so that if something happens, that it will revert. But I won't lose my code. All right, so if the rule, maybe I don't want to get there yet. Maybe I want to extract announce tie into this. All right, let me pull these out for now. As variables. So that I can get at them. Oops. And rename. Oh, clash. Okay, don't want that. That's why it was adding twos. That's fine. I'll keep this here. What I want is to extract this into some sort of thing inside of announce tie. So let's do that. Let's put it in here and call this does apply or something like that. And inside of here, oh, this is interesting. So the announcement needs to have access to the player information. How's it going to do this? Any ideas? We could pass in player 1 and player 2. That would be an easy place to start, but I'm not sure I want to keep it that way. Or pass the scores in. Ah, thank you. Good idea. Let's have a look at the scores and see score. Yeah. The scores alone should do it. Thank you. Let's do that. So this will be like that. Nothing is using this yet, so that should be fine. And now I should be able to paste in AppCode has a built-in pasteboard history. Player 1 score. I'm going to rename these so that I can just go like this and be lazy. Right, so now I should be able to call this instead of, I'm starting to get tired of scrolling, but we'll see how long that lasts. I want to be able to call announce tie to does apply with player 1 score and player 2 score. Cool. All right. That is progress. I want to do the same thing now for these. Let's go up to this announce advantage or win. And I'm just going to plop that into place there so that I can copy the logic, which is if one or the other has scored 4 points. Like that. So now it's in place, but it's not being used. And now I should be able to call this instead of that, except don't call announce tie 2. Make it announce advantage or win 2. All right, getting there. And then the last one is easy. It definitely applies. So this becomes true. Let's get that in place. And now I should be able to call. And the purpose of this is to unify these lines, to take lines that are similar and make them identical. An important refactoring move. Hey, welcome anyone who's just joined. How about that? Whoa, whoa, whoa. That failed. So it reverted. And it, why? Optional not equal to 15 love. Okay, so I'm breaking, forgot to switch the variable. Oh, did I? Thank you. Take the whole thing, put it in there, except this is just announce score. 2, like that. There we go, that's better. Thank you. We're making progress. We should now be able to extract a this signature into the protocol. Right like that. There. Now we can see that the announcements are implementing the protocol. Let's check that. Excellent. Next step. Returning a score. In fact, move announce into the structs. Maybe. But I'm going to start without first. I'm just going to call them. Except I can't call them. Because announce tie is sitting here. It's a private well, private doesn't matter, but it is sitting here inside of the tennis game, not inside of the announcement. So yeah, you're right. I do think we need to move these in. And the player 1 score, let's have a look. Announce tie. Some of these are going to change. it still looks like it needs to know about the player 1 score and player 2 score. That's all right. Sometimes in order to make a refactoring, you need to make things uglier. You need to spread it out and then gather it back together. So let's create, let me move, start with announce score maybe at the bottom. Let me just see if I can't. I'm going to try to move it into the regular announce score here. So like this, except it doesn't know what the player 1 score on player 2 score are. So I'll give that to them here and make this non-private and fix these up. And that should not revert. Phew. Okay. So that's a big change. And to apply this, you know what? Instead of, yeah, I think I'll just call it right here. Oh, it's not this one. It's down here. Right, let's try that. Good. With that, I should be able to get rid of this code. Nice. Can you store the scores locally when you call apply? We'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting. Well, let's just follow where this goes. Let me take this and drop it into, this is announce advantage or win. This scrolling is starting to wear me out. Let's move things around. All right, so maybe I can put them in announcements. Let's do this. I'll just keep them together, call this yes, and see if I can't grab all of this. Cut and paste, and phew, it commits. That should make life a little better for me. All right, let's go to announce advantage or win. And fix this up. A lot of what I'm doing is kind of ergonomics, which is why I chose the variable names. It's so that I could fix this up just by doing that, rather than initially I had player digit 1, player digit 2, or numeral 1, numeral 2, and I changed my mind because I thought I'm going to have to change this over and over. It's easy to rename afterwards, but right now, let's get this into place and make it non-private and give it the same name, announce score. and then call it. Okay, I don't have to scroll now. I can hop over like I've been wanting to do. In fact, I can just go to where it's used and do the same thing, except make sure to get my variable right. And that should work. Cool. One more. Oh, wait. I can get rid of this, which is no longer being called. By the way, in terms of number of commits, just think about like I'm not doing how many minutes per commit. It's the other way around. It's how many commits per minute, right? I like that a lot. All right, announce tie. Here we go. Let's bring this into announce tie. I'll just grab the same signature there and change this up, and that should work. Good. Staying out of red for the most part. We did have one time where it reverted my stuff, but I really like how TCR forces me. It's not a forcing, but it strongly encourages me to take moves that stay in green. Here we go. Let's bring this up and change this to announce tie 2. And now this will no longer be called. Get rid of that. Pretty cool. Almost there. These, these now, instead of assigning a score and returning it, what if I just made them return? Like that should work. Yeah. Oddly enough, it still needs to return something at the end, even though this rule will always apply. Should say something like, error. I don't know. Some complex code. Oh, you're laughing at me, but I kind of like this. Which will now let me get rid of that variable. Nice. All right, let's now move these in to their proper places. I should be able to say if rule does apply, then hey, rule. Oh, I can't do that. Revert. I need to pull out that method into the protocol. There we go. Now I should be able to do it. If the rule does apply, then hey, rule announce score. the closing brace there. There we go. Right, so all this is now dead code. Hey, and I'm liking this. This is pretty cool. There are definitely things we can improve around how does it know who's player 1 and who's player 2. Ideas, ideas, ideas. I mean, one idea is I kind of wanted to move the rules out and not have them know about player 1 and player 2 score. Maybe they should know about player 1 and player 2, though, as the scores update. That might be interesting. Does that then give them too much information? Except here, it is using a game object that has 2 players. Oh. Yes, that could be. The reason I think that we want these announcements to know about the names, not just the scores, is that here it's saying advantage player 1, but really I think it should say advantage mud shark. It just happens to be player 1, player 2, and those happen to match. Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got. Player 1, player 2. A match is multiple games. Here, we may need to look up some terminology. Oh no, there's too much. A match, a contest is a set and match. 2 players. We'll see. We shall see. But let's extract something and pass it around. But we don't want to pass around the whole freaking game, I don't think. So let's pull these into a new type called, I don't know. Set best of 6 or tiebreak match. Yeah, you look at you, Mr. Tennis. I'm just gonna call it game for now. Game, set, and match. Ah, I like that. Let's bring these in. Maybe it's not a... I don't know quite know what I'm doing here. And that's okay. So let's make an initializer and get that into play. So that I can, I kind of did this backwards, but that's all right. I could have done this. Let me start over and do this from a caller create point of view. Because I want to build up this habit. I think I'm still too used to going out and saying, oh, I know I need this thing, and creating it and then calling it. Whereas it would be better to say, make a game with player 1 and player 2. I think that would be better. In fact, let me get rid of the assignment to a non-existent property because I want to start by creating game. So that I can move in small steps. Create the property. Make it a let. And now start to use it. But what do we currently have? It creates the name and the score. That's right. So this is player 1, and I can keep them separate like that. Yeah. Hey, how much does the code know about sets? I don't think it knows anything about sets. All right, self player 1. There, that's why it wasn't letting me create the property, is to avoid the name clash. There we go. And just to expose these, let's make them lets. Okay. In theory now, this should let us move away from keeping these. So where does it use player 1, for example? Okay, there's player 1 name. So this is this is definitely getting gross. Game. Yeah, I'm not liking that. What I'm not, oop. Pass in a name. Pass name into game. Not sure what you mean. I do think I need to increment both. Let the game do the scoring? Maybe. But for now, I'm going to put them down in parallel so that we get the parallel change. And here then I can begin to shift over. Right, like that. Player 2 score and shift away from that. And now I think that player 1 and player 2 are only used right there. So I should be able to get rid of that one. Yes. And that one, which lets me get rid of these. Cool. All right. I'm all of this would be more interesting. This isn't, I'm afraid this is not a very talkative live coding for me because I'm making all these moves and I'm going very fast. And when I'm coding, I've got a one-track brain here. I can only code or talk. I really can't do both at the same time. And this is one of the advantages of pairing and mobbing, is that because you have two people and the person at the keyboard, the driver or the typist, doesn't get to call the shots, and we're using what's called strong style pairing, where in order for code to appear, it needs to come out of one person's mouth and through a different person's fingers, so that everything is verbalized, and that would be more interesting. I've been actually starting to wonder if it might not be fun to and I don't know what this would look like to live stream some mob programming. Just an idea, Mudshark. No pressure. No, it's just an idea at this point. I'm just playing with it. All right. There's been some shifting of things. We have a game now. We can pass that game around to the announcements. We can pass it into the announcements. Yeah, I don't really know practically how it would work to do some live mobbing. I know there are folks who do that. Let's see. Let us pass the game into the announcements. So if I do that, how will this work? It might not make sense for these to be structs. Let me make them classes. We can always change things back. I just feel like I'll be a little more flexible if they are reference types and not value types. And this will let me hold on to the game. Trying to find a way to get this in there. I think a way to get this in there is to create an initializer. There we go. Maybe that's what's troubling me. For example, if with that in announce tie, I should be able to come to announce tie and I know what I can do. I should be able to come to announce tie and change this signature to pass in a game, type game, where the default value, this is not the default value in the signature. I really wish instead of calling it default, but that they would call it like the value to use at the call site. That's not very nice though. Because now at the call site we pass this in. I really don't need the name. Let me make this only an internal name. Like that. Here we go. Here we go. We are on our way somewhere. Let me do these moves again. I'm going to create an initializer and commit that. I'm going to change its signature to add a parameter with an internal name of game, type game. The default value is game go, and I think this will compile. Good. Same thing here. One more time. Cool. So now you see it's passing in the game to each announcement. Let me hang on to that. In a property. I expect app code will eventually give me the recognize that when I'm creating this from an initializer, it may not be a var, it might be a let. We'll see. Let's try these moves here. In fact, I should just be able to copy this and drop it in here and here. Got some duplication, I don't mind. Because can I now ignore these and just say game player one score? Oh, look at that. Cool. Here we go. So working on does apply. Change this to game player one score and game player two score. And then the last case doesn't even use them because it just returns true. So now I should be able to change the signature and refactor the base declaration to say, I don't want these parameters. Let's see if that works. Ha ha! That's better. Want to see the call site? If rule does apply. Well, that's looking better. Let's keep going. Same thing. For announcing, where we have player one score, let's use game player one score. This is pretty cool. And what I'm such a fan of evolutionary design. We're discovering the design as we go, and we're letting the code, we're exploring things, we try things, we lay things out, and we let the code sort of give us feedback according to our sense of where things, what should be doing what should know about what, with the belief that when it works, various things will get cleaned up. If it doesn't, hey, well, we'll go back in time. So we're working on announcements. So let's go to announce advantage or win. This is game player one score, game player two score. I'm running tests a lot, you can see. Again, trying to get not minutes per commit, but commits per minute. That is how we like to roll. And the final announced score here, game player one score. It's also interesting how momentum grows as things settle. At first, it's kind of like I'm scattering things and I'm not sure where they're going to land. I should be able now to refactor the base declaration and get rid of these. Ta-da! With that, let's go back to our... Ooh, look at how that cleans up. And now let's fold this in. Can't do an inline yet, but I'll do it manually. What I'm doing is I am copying the right-hand side of the assignment here, and I'm going to where it's used and pasting it over and running my tests, which does the commit. And then with that in place, I can get rid of the variable because it is no longer serving me. And now I believe I can move this out entirely. Nope. The reason is that game doesn't exist at that point. What to do? I mean, it might be okay as is. Oh, let's see. I can get rid of the type. No? Uh-oh. Come back. I thought I could get rid of the type there, but I guess it can't figure out what the type is. Fair enough. Let's reformat this a bit. Oh, this is looking better. Look at how nice this is. For tennis scoring. Hey, there are more folks here. Say hello. Good to have you. Welcome. And I'm messing around with refactoring in Swift here of the tennis game Kata. And we have just extracted this idea of announcement rules, and this is so much better. This is still not great. Hello, welcome, Samarth. Good to have you. And if you're willing to share, I'm always curious to see where people are in the world. I'm here in United States, in California. Your first day of learning coding. Oh my gosh. From India. First day. Are you kidding? I am honored. I don't know what to tell you to try to, I don't know how much you've watched, to try to make sense of things, except the one thing I guess I would encourage you as a learner is small steps. Small steps is one thing. Learning, the challenge as a beginner is just to get things to work at all, right? I am relying on automated tests to make sure that I don't break anything. For example, if I keep coming back to this, if player 1 gets 123 points for scoring, that's bad. So I'm going to run the tests, and the tests are going to say, no, you fail, and gets rid of my change. Python is a very good language to learn. There's a lot of good stuff in there. So I definitely enjoy Python a lot. Go for it. And welcome. Coding is fun. I don't know if it'll be your passion and hobby and career, but that's up to you to explore and figure out. So, I'm really happy. And thanks for coming. All right. So, let me go back in time. Woo! To the initial commit, just to compare where we were. And Shawi, welcome. Thank you for saying hello in the chat. And I'm curious where you are and what your background is. So this was the original scoring for this tennis game, where it would say, well, it might be this kind of announcement, or it might be this kind of announcement, or it might be this kind of announcement, and it goes on and on and on. And this is the kind of code that's easy to write as a beginner because there's nothing, in terms of the computer, it works. The thing to learn is that we are coding not only for the machine, but especially for people, including ourselves. We code in order to be able to read. We code in order for others to be able to read so that they can change it. So here's where we started, and here's where here's what that long thing became. Instead, it became a set of rules about announcing the score. And it just goes through and says, does this rule apply? If so, let it announce. Does this rule apply? Give it the chance. And we end up with these small little things. For example, here's announce tie. It's a tie game. Shall we? I am learning Swift. New Mac, also web and mobile developer. Negative coding? I'm not sure what that means. Swift is a pretty fun language, I gotta say. So here is an example of announcing the tie, where the rule says I apply if it's a tie game. And the announcement is love all, 15 all, 30 all. Oh, there's some duplication in here. Here's some duplication. There's all, here's all, here's all, here's deuce. Is it the worst duplication? No. Is it? I just notice it. Not all duplication is bad. It's better to be clear and to have duplication rather than try to make things into this perfectly like split up thing where you can't figure out what's going on anymore. So duplication gives us an indication that there may be something that the code should know about, but maybe we haven't figured it out yet, and that's okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mudshark. Yeah, so refactoring, the term comes from math. Remember where you'd have a formula and you'd say, let me change the order of these things and it's still equal? That's what this is. The tests ensure that the announcement of the game is always the same. And it's just a matter of, let me move this around, let me move this around, let me pull this out. Maybe this should have the responsibility for doing this action, not this other thing, in which case we move it over. Refactoring all comes from this. I kept it in arm's reach this time. Mudshark, aren't you proud of me? Important book. Get this however you can, or learn about refactoring. It is an essential skill, and it is not taught well. Most of the industry has struggles with what it means even. But I do try to keep these coding sessions at an hour, plus a little bit. So I think this is a good time to be done. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate folks coming by, especially the folks giving their first hellos and dropping by. Good to have you, Shawi and Samart. Always good to have other folks, especially Mudshark. Oh, for Swift, let me just be shameless and recommend my book here. This will, I think it's good. And over here are various places where you can follow me. Thank you so much. Take care. Be kind to people and be kind to yourself. All right. So long.